Okay, so good evening, everyone. It's the big moment has arrived, and I am excited and thrilled to welcome my new best buddy, Michael Abramson, to our live here together. Michael, welcome, my friend.
Thank you, Lou. It is a mark of the divine, I say, because I feel like we're in such these auspicious times. So when we can gather with each other all around the world and have these deep, inspiring conversations that we get to share and just activate with one another within our friendship and just with all those that are watching, that can bring what I feel is just a greater unity in these times that are asking us to call upon our fullness from within.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I'm just getting the message here that this is going to be recorded. For some reason, Facebook isn't letting me go live at the moment, so we'll just I don't know why. I just did one a few days ago. So that's interesting. Um,
And if you want to pause, because I know sometimes
yeah,
it's all taking that time. See how you go with it, because as you are working with it, I just obviously want to thank you, Lou, for all the work that you're doing and what your call has been put forth in really bringing very amazing individuals to come forth to share their story, their perspective, and their energies, which I feel in a collective really brings a lot of us back into that unison that we always knew we were, and somewhat divided through our let's just say portals of where we incarnated. So to come back together and reunite, and other times it's been a blessing, even in these times of chaos and storms, which we don't need that transformation, but sometimes they allow us to ride that wave a little bigger and a little more in a forceful way. So it's
beautiful, beautiful. Well,
to be
well, let
here.
me. That's thank you, brother. Let me put it on pause. Okay, we're doing take two. We had to jump from Facebook to YouTube. So I want to thank Michael Abramson, my dear friend and fellow warrior of love, and the man who changed the course of history. Nothing less than that, in my opinion. Here, a prayer warrior with a heart of gold. Michael, it's great to be here with you and spend some time together. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you, Lou. I just want to, take a moment, as I was sharing before, is it is such a cool, it's such an honor right now to sit with you, as I feel like you're in my living room right now, and I feel like the opportunities that we all get to come together and share these blessed moments are really a gift that we get to bring forth into our hearts right now. And I find that we're in such these auspicious moments that what you're doing, Lou, in bringing forth speakers, bringing forth a conscious awareness on all platforms is exactly where we're riding this wave into our next destination. So it is of just great blessings, joy, and fun, and to meet another sacred, conscious, divine brother, just, stone far away from, the Atlantic into Ireland and all the way here from Florida. So thank you, brother, for having me on today. Very, very, very grateful.
Thank you, Michael. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, you're halfway there. Would you like to start us with a prayer? I think that would be just perfect.
Sure, sure. So let's just, why don't we, since we're already here, let's just go to place our hands over our heart and just take a nice deep breath in and exhale out. Let's just take another just deep breath in and let everything out. And on our next breath in, we call upon Father, Mother, God, and bringing forth this sacred, beautiful pyramid of light that is being placed upon this call and upon everyone that is joining us. In the highest light, in the highest love for the greatest good of all, so that nothing lesser than this Christed divine crystalline light may enter, so that these words, these thoughts, these messages, this inspiration can be brought forward in its greatest love. We welcome our dear sacred ascended masters, our angels, our wonderful elements of fire, earth, water, and air. We welcome our great directions of the east, the south, the west, the north, the direction above, below, within, as we honor our councils and orders, our star sisters, our star brothers, beings of light that are here to support this call. And most important, each person that is here to receive what it is that they are, to fill their soul, to fill their mind, and most important, to open their heart that can feel the vibration, that can feel the energy, and most important, can feel the blessings that are being brought through us, around us, on this sacred call, in our highest light, in our highest love, for the greatest good of all. It is said, it is so, it is done, and so it is.
So it is. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Well, that was just what I needed, my friend. Thank you so much. Pleasure. Yeah. So, Michael, tell people a little bit about your story. And as we said, there's so much going on. I found you because I had some friends that passed during the North Carolina hurricane during Helena, and that got my full attention. And God bless them, Dan and Marina. And then here was this next storm coming up, which was Category 6, 200 miles an hour at one point. We'd never seen anything like it that I can recall. And you felt the divine calling about all of that. Pick the story up anywhere you like. It's a page turner. It's an edge of your seat suspense thriller. Yes.
I mean, if anyone knows me, there's a part of me that has this little child within me that wants to play and that wants to have fun. At the same time, there is this divine warrior that wants to come through and knows it's time to lay the sword down and really come from love versus fighting. And so this summer has been an epic journey for many of us, and just moving through so much density, releasing so many old programs, conditions, indoctrination, nothing right, nothing wrong, nothing good or bad, just our transforming of our journey of ascension, evolution, awakening, however we see it in the terms. So yes, right before the 1010 gateway, which was interesting, Florida received its third hurricane warning, but this time it was a direct hurricane that was amping up through the media. And what was interesting, it was amping up through the world that it really started to get our full attention. And what I mean by full attention is when we just start to look at the media, which I look as clues. I'm letting go of the judgment and sometimes my anger and my father's voice of, trying to put a lot of negativity and just look at what's coming forth. And so when the media started to talk about like the monster storm of the millennium or the storm of the century or this is coming, it really started to open my lens up a little deeper to say, wow, what's really going on? And I don't know if you've seen it, Lou, like when something's happening, can we just step 2 steps back? Can we move a little further out? Because there's all this energy spiraling. And as you know, with an hurricane, there's all this movement happening. And so when I saw this, there was this curiosity, Lou. There was this element of saying something's happening greater than what this storm is. And so by checking in within me, sitting in a beautiful meditation with my wife, sitting in another powerful service and receiving divine guidance, I would have to say one of the greatest calls that I could ever imagine in my life. And when I say call, an activation, which I feel many of us are on right now, this expression, this standing up for what we are doing and what our highest truth is, ignited a flame, Lou. It ignited a flame so deep within me that I started to move into these areas of discomfort of like, oh, wow, I am being called to do some things that I don't know I want to do. And, Lou, like when we're going through discomfort, change is not always easy when on one lens, it looks like a World War III is happening out because the whole world is expressing evacuate, evacuate, leave. This is going to be the worst storm ever.
Yeah.
And then somewhere within myself was like, no, I'm receiving the divine call to stand not only in my truth, but to stand in the divine virtues that start to be seated upon each day, getting closer and closer to this hurricane. It was like this momentum of energy. And I always remember growing up, my parents used to say, when you see everyone going one direction, you might want to look to the left and go the opposite direction.
Hmm.
because they're just being led by what they see and believe. Again, nothing wrong or right, but maybe choose the path less traveled and see what you're being called to from in here.
Yes.
Is in
Yes. Yes.
And that started this, as you saw, this epic journey, which
Yeah.
really, though, I'm grateful you're sharing this because I'm still integrating. It's only been a month, but there's been
Right.
so many stories and energies that I haven't been able to express because, as you've seen, I've been in higher service and finally
Yeah.
now stopping and saying, wow, what did this Hurricane Milton do for us?
Right.
What did it do for me? And the word that keeps coming up is divine faith.
Wow.
This
Yeah.
faith that came forward to believe in a way that I've never believed before. And this is
Yeah.
the big one, Lou,
Yeah.
to trust
Yeah. Yeah,
in
man.
a way that I've never trusted before because I don't know if you ever experienced in your life, Lou, or those that are watching, but that moment where it may look on the outside the most idiotic, crazy, stupidest thing you could ever do to sit
Oh,
in a
yeah.
house by yourself, a mile and a half from the ocean, in an evacuation center, and still stand there and saying, we got this.
Yeah.
We have this. This
Yeah.
is the time to rise in ways that we've never risen before because
Yeah.
something extraordinary is going to happen.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, I'm just loving this, Michael. I mean, I'm just eating this up with a spoon over here because, I was praying for you and watching you, and I never had seen you before. And, every day as you're sharing there so beautifully, you were evolving and you were deepening and you were giving yourself over to it. You were surrendering, you were fasting and praying, you were channeling, and you were not moving an inch. And I respect everyone else decided to do something else, and that's their call and that's their right. But we were watching every minute, and it took just unbelievable courage, and it was so inspiring for all of us. So thank you.
Thank you. I'll tell you a funny story because I feel joy has to be always exerted into it.
Yes,
And so,
please.
you
Sure.
know, I've never really sat in a Hurricane 5, and as a man, I've ridden some big waves. I've driven in Mexico without the helmet because when you're in Mexico, what is legal, what's not, so you're caught. But I've, as my wife and mom would say, because they're my two greatest women, of like, you
Okay.
ride the edge, you ride the edge, you ride the edge.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
felt like I was riding the edge big time. And when the hurricane that morning started, which I thought was going to be later, I had my batteries, I had my paddleboard, I had all these life preservers, I had everything stacked up to worst case scenario. So I wasn't
Okay.
just being
Yeah.
aloof.
Yeah.
But Lou, when I woke up and I heard that rain coming, I was like, okay, we got to raise this vibration because everything's frequency,
Right.
everything's energy. So I
Right.
was like rubbing my eyes and I'm like, first thing I thought is like, let's lift this energy. So I dropped on the YouTube and I put inspirational exercise music, and this Trust the Universe came up, this rap song. And I was like, really? I'm going to dance to this? I was like, okay.
Oh yeah, I love that. That was brilliant.
I'm going to put some music on. And then I heard the guy say, put on Facebook, but, record this story. I'm like,
Right.
really?
Right.
White boy dancing to a brother song? Like, I'm going to do my best. I love my brothers.
You were
I'm,
great.
I'm going to jump into it.
You were great, man.
It was like playing a sport, being in a pep rally. I heard the song Trust the Universe, and those lyrics fired through me where I was just moving and raising and lifting. I put that on repeat for an hour, and I was dancing through the house, literally lifting the vibration and frequency through my whole body.
Yeah.
That, no joke. And again, I'm not saying it's me because I feel like it's we. The
Yeah.
rain started to settle down where I can attribute ancestors, vibration. When we can radiate that in the highest joy, highest happiness, things start to shift. And I posted it within an hour. There was 200, 300 hits. And I was like, something's happening. Even though a lot of people are just like, why is he dancing? It's going to be a hurricane. I'm like, let's raise it. Let's trust. Let's bring in those divine virtues right now because something greater is going to happen that I can't see, but I'm feeling. And it was like that deep intuitive feeling just to keep going. I kept hearing my dad's voice from heaven, keep going, keep going, keep going. So I started screaming. I started running through the house. I was like, let's go, Councils of Light. Let's go, Federation of Light. And I was doing it to a point that people may have thought I was a wackadoodle.
Sure.
And I was laughing because I knew I live around a lot of 80, 90-year-olds, so they probably couldn't hear me anyway. And I love them too. And it was like
Yeah. Yeah.
this, it was just this momentum, Lou, this momentum that was driving through days before the hurricane that kept building that I thought, wow, if one could do this,
mm,
and many were doing this, what would happen
mm,
if all of us were radiating at a vibration and frequency to our divine capacity,
mm.
how we could move the greatest density in the world? And to
Yes.
me, it was like I had to be by myself in a position where it was me, myself, and I
Mm,
coming forward in a situation where here's discomfort, here's conflict, here's challenge, and here's every voice on the outside, including my deepest love, saying, get out of there, you're going to die,
mm.
and
Yeah.
still stand
Yeah.
in that truth because something even greater than all of that kept saying,
Yeah.
you got this, we
Yeah.
got this, team
Yeah.
of light, let's go.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, brother, thank you for sharing that. When you and I had a moment here and we just did some quiet time together before we pressed record. And I'll tell you, Michael, the energy coming through me was at 10, man. It was just, lifting me up. And, you know, uh, yeah, this is the time. As we were saying before, we're just shifting into the age of Aquarius, which really is power to the people. And John Lennon and a few others were singing that a few years ago. And you are a man of good heart and good faith. God bless you, Michael. And that's what it takes to ride the edge,
Yeah.
and to trust yourself and to be a fool for God. I call that my official job description. If God says jump, I ask how high. That's the way it rolls, of course, because uh, many are called, but few choose to hear the call, and you allowed yourself to hear the call, and it's changed your life, and it's changed the world for everyone who's been a part of that, like myself, and who's followed you. So, thank you so much, man. It's amazing.
You're welcome. And I appreciate those words because, when I went out a week later and just again followed the call to bring forth a gathering, and what was so interesting, Lou, and for those people that are not aware of where the hurricane specifically hit, there's a place called Siesta Key Beach, and it is 99% quartz crystal. Now, some say it comes all the way to the Appalachian Mountains, all the way from Asheville. Some say it goes all the way back to Atlantis. Some say that this West Coast is a portal between the Lemurian and Atlantis energies. All I know is it's a very sacred space where for 2.5 years, almost three, I've been leading sacred masculine circles, meant to come forth and to really sit together and hear one another and to help each other to really expand in our highest growth from coming from a purely heart-centered place. That being said, there was this 100-year prophecy that Sarasota has never been hit by a hurricane. And these prophecies are directly on this town. And so I had this vision that this hurricane was so big that we could not only move it, we had to shift it. But out of the whole place of Florida, the whole Florida, the most powerful vortex that I believe, that I felt, that I've connected with in meditations with my wife and men's circles and other gatherings is this Siesta Key. And I came forth on that beach feeling this call, where I imagine the ancestors had their fires lit, had their drums going, and we're like, come on, Milton, come this way so we could dissolve it. Because when that eye came over Siesta Key, I live 7 miles south of that. It was at a point where usually when the eye comes, there's a backlash. But that eye disintegrated as soon as it
Right.
came to Siesta Key. And what they were calling 5 or 6, they were calling 3, but media reports from out of the country were actually showing closer to 2 and 1.
Right.
So my point is there are these sacred places all around the world, whether we call them grid lines, gateways, portals, vortexes. What people may not know, in Western North Carolina has the most vortexes in all of the United States of America, 23, 24, more than Sedona.
Mm,
So even that area has a very powerful place.
yeah.
Yet when this happened, Lou, all I can say is it wasn't me, but a higher force that kept coming through saying, okay, now do this. Now
Right.
do this. And it was almost like stepping back and saying, can I hear the divine call and let the limited side of my human push aside the limitation of like, no, why do I have to step forward? There's other community leaders. Okay, there's so much more to do of my own health and well-being of actually getting some sleep. Maybe like there's some other people that want to join together. And they said, no, it's you. I don't have any questions to that other than just following it.
Yeah.
Even Archangel Michael behind me on a beautiful
Right.
painting that I
Right.
do these healings was saying, get on, please bring an Archangel Michael transmission, which
Yeah.
not only did I do for 1111, but also was for this opportunity just to help people go back into their hearts and be as calm as possible because these Floridians, they eat hurricanes for breakfast. Not all of them leave. So there's 9 year olds across from me. There were people all around. And I knew at that point it was time to stand in that highest light because we've spoken about this. One person that emanates their fullest expression of divine energy transforms hundreds of thousands, if not millions, around them. And if
Yes.
there's one portal of light that's working through our vessel,
Yes.
and your portal of light at Ireland, and we connect that frequency,
Yeah.
it's like that beautiful scene in the world where all the lights start shining and then we link together. And I felt that's what this storm, this hurricane did, because how often does the eye, which when you think about it, the eye, the real eye in Chinese medicine, the eye is the doorway to the spirit. That
Right.
doorway is into the inner world. Can we trust, and this is the big one, can we trust our inner world and feel that without the doubt and the skepticism of the outer world riding that fear train of the worst fear that we all have to go through, death,
Yeah.
which is an
Yeah.
illusion of its own. And that's what brought all these inspirational activities, gatherings, and just started to allow me like to fly like an eagle, where it was like arm's length. And knowing that when the arms are length, that eagle doesn't fly any lower than the vibration it stands because it's flying it. That white eagle is flying. That great eagle, that bald eagle, which is American's eye, to
Hmm.
see upon
Hmm.
the greater vision, the greater expansion was what I felt lit me. And I'm
Hmm.
still lit and still feeling how to integrate it because as you know, sometimes you're so high on it that when you fall, you're like, whoa, what just happened to it? I was riding it, but that
Hmm.
wave just knocked me down.
Hmm.
And that's the integration part of now allowing that to come into the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual body without, of course, the human ego of trying to judge it, analyze, and process it from a human lens that we know comes from the filters of a lot of our wonderful traumas, dramas, and pains that we're all healing at right now.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, beautiful. Well, fantastic, man. I mean, that's just, that's so exciting, to take that journey with you as you're describing the whole process, for yourself. Can you talk a little bit about your connection to Archangel Michael and how that's evolved?
Yeah, so on July 17th, 2017, I love these 17s because it was October 17th that this event happened on the beach. It was a day that probably a time period that just came out of a major life transformation out of Mexico, working 10 years being an acupuncturist and massage therapist of a beautiful village in Sayulita, Mexico. I met my divine partner, Honey, and we, out of all places, met at her brother's house in West Hollywood. So coming from like a small surf town in Mexico to Hollywood is like probably coming from a boy out of New York City and placing him into like, or a boy out of Kansas placing him in New York City. Like this, like, whoa, massive
Culture
density,
shock.
culture
Yeah.
shock.
Yeah.
So we were going through a moment, and she basically spoke about how she needs some acupuncture. So I placed some needles in, and as most people know, my beloved, she's a fully incorporated divine channel to many higher beings of light. And when I was working with her, all of a sudden, during our first 2 years, she would go into fully incorporated channels. And this is a fully incorporated channel. This is, she leaves her body as an orb. The channel comes in and speaks to me.
Wow.
And on this moment, I literally felt like I was pressed against the wall. The voice of Archangel Michael came in,
Mm.
and he had a message to not only share with me, but all of humanity
Mm.
that for thousands and thousands of lifetimes, we as a humanity hold what he called parasites of pain within our body,
Mm.
our mental body, our emotional body, our physical body. And he basically went on this beautiful 12-minute channel, which I recorded, and we will be at one point creating a book called The Channeling of the Masters of all the masters, healing agents that have come through her
Wonderful.
to share, he came through and anointed me with a healing that I've now called the Archangel Michael Transformational Healing, where I use all of my modalities from acupuncture, chakra balancing, sound healing, and a technique specifically on the hands and fingers to release lifetimes of pain. Because as you know, we humans have a hard time of letting go. We've
Sure.
been programmed it's not okay to feel not okay. So since that moment, it has accelerated what the healing has come through me. It's not it's the energy, but this human body of mine to
Mhm.
accelerate in a faster portion. Because when Honey met me, she's like, well, you're not just an acupuncturist, you're, a master transformational healer. I'm like, I know, but I'm going by the guidelines of what TCM taught me in California. It's like, no, well, you're beyond that. So this was a huge element that when that healing came in, I then started traveling around the world
Mhm.
and doing life-changing healings from women that weren't able to get pregnant to people that were looking for their divine partners or traumatic pain, where I've learned that those that would sit maybe in therapy for years, I could do the session and it would clear like 5, 10 years of what the therapist was. Nothing against traditional therapy. It was just a deeper level of when people are ready to let go, they use sound, and I take them through this powerful journey of what he showed me, and it's created a lifetime of shifts, which not only has he shown me the work I've done with him, but what I also see, Lou, is going to the next level of not just working individually, but going to a greater planetary, which was shown doing it through social media and guided transmissions. Whether he wants to come through me directly, we'll see how that happens. I feel the empath and the mediumship of what is moving through me now as I receive it, but
Mhm.
to the level what Honey was doing incorporated, we'll see where my guides will be taken to me next. But for now, I feel Archangel Michael has been the greatest influence of the healing journey that has been placed upon my path. So thank you, brother.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you, Michael. God bless. Yeah. Well, I'm feeling the energy while you're just talking about it here. I mean, it is so powerful. And so I'm happy if you want to share that here at any time today. That would be a blessing for sure.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. But I also want to give you a chance for people who are just meeting you for the first time, to talk a little bit about your childhood, which was extraordinary. You were sharing a bit of that with me as well. Would you share a bit of that also?
Sure. So, for those that are meeting me for the first time, if those that can remember the analogy of the black sheep growing up, feeling a bit different. And so, as I spoke to you, I kind of like I was the tie-dyed sheep growing up because I grew up with beautiful, loving parents. They definitely went through the 60s and 70s in full blossom. They were some of the early change makers, way showers, individuals that dove into spiritual science and spirituality when the word ascension may have not been spoken, or where they looked at their models of Ram Dass, or looking at individuals when Deepak first came out, or individuals that during the 60s and 70s, Timothy Leary, individuals that my dad would follow through psychedelics, but then dove deeper, brought forth a foundation to myself and brother where they were some originators of some powerful conferences, one called Life Spectrums in Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania, that 1 week out of the year, they would basically look at some of the most proficient teachers that could come for a conference. We had Deepak one year, we had Barbara Marx Hubbard one year. Of course, they were looking for mainstreams like Wayne Dyer and some of the big ones, but back then, to capture these people, you have to like reserve them like years ahead of time, like many years ahead of time. So as this conference was going, they took me each year, and so at 8 years old, they placed me in a Reiki class. I was surrounded by those that, if you remember, there is these 12 crystal skulls that are going around the world that one person had. I was a child in a room that we got to all surround the crystal skulls as the children to feel the energy. And so as that cultivated, because my parents were so unique and different, they would take this week, and then right afterwards we would get into a car and we would drive across the country. And if anyone have seen Family Vacation with Chevy Chase and just the ridiculousness, funniness of it, I would call my parents the hippie, family vacation, because we'd get into a car, we'd drive across the country, but then we would stop, sit in a vortex, look for crystals, sit in our hands, and like basically meditate and do things that most modern day families would probably think we've lost our cuckoo, but they would introduce the elements of the land. They would introduce the ancestors. They would take us to Sedona and walk in the vortexes. So it was this powerful immersion of spirituality, which, interesting enough, being brought in modern day suburbia out of Washington, D.C. So it felt like it was a split life. I was endowed at a very young age of this journey.
Right?
But you know what the fascinating part was, Lou?
What?
Coming back to the 3D and being like, how do I share chakras, crystals, energy, woo woo, which, in the 80s,
Yeah.
it was still looked at as kind of like this new age movement was very different because it hadn't take off as we see right now. And even the word new age triggers individual, even spirituality to it. So I just bring it back to love because I feel that's what our highest vibration is. So that gave me the opportunity with a dad as a massage therapist, a mother as a teacher to follow my passion into serving, starting
Beautiful.
in sports medicine, then to Chinese medicine, then somehow jumping into Mexico, which I thought would be a 1 year term, but that turned to 10 years. That allowed me to work 8 months a year, and then go jump into Asia and travel around the world to work with masters.
Mm,
I met my beloved, and then, of course, like the alchemist, we get pulled back to where we are in the beginning, back to our home,
mm.
into Maryland, D.C. area, and then circumventilate from here to Florida, which happened during the pandemic, to just shift our communities of light so we could be in a free area to expose what we know as our truth in honor of each and everyone's consciousness without blaming, shaming, but just staying in the heart and knowing that's what our job is, to be in the heart, to allow the heart, and to know to be that presentation and knowing that each and every person is exactly where they are on their level of consciousness.
Yeah, fantastic, fantastic. Well, that's a perfect, thank you, Michael. That's a perfect segue. If you'd like to talk a little bit about your events, your prayer work around the election.
Yeah, so do you ever find yourself, Lou, like where you look at dates and you look at times and you're like, how is the universe pointing me to go here, go there? Because, with my wife, I feel like I'm kind of like Speedy Gonzalez on a galactic spaceship
Beautiful.
because she moves so fast. She's like
Mm,
a morning riser and goes out, and I'm the kind of person that wants to just like, take my time. But
mhm,
since meeting her, I think she's like sped up my journey, and I feel
mhm.
like where we've been going, we've been moving fast. So, of course, we were called to go back to Washington, D.C. And interesting enough, we didn't know how long we were going to stay there. That we were just working with family, working with clients. And before we knew it, we were like, wow, we're going to be here during the election. And we know because there's so much division, there's so much separation. If most people know us, we're not political. We are into unity. Doesn't mean we believe in certain things of parties, but I don't resonate with one another. I believe in the unity consciousness of being together. So when we came, I said, honey, I really believe we have to go down to DC. This is really important to be by the monument, which is another sacred portal, which many gateway planetary healers know. So we chose Sunday because that's the one day where the traffic isn't as bad compared to the rest of the weeks. And we went down there, and in hindsight, that was the day that was the 4 year anniversary of the previous election. We just knew that we had to go down there to ignite, to light, and to see the highest level of peace, unity, and what we feel, and you know this already, Lomena's, bring down the divine virtues of the divine government, which we're here to do and impart upon. So we placed all of our social medias on cameras. We sat right in front of the monument. We had people all around the world, from Florida, from Morocco to California to Australia to Europe to everywhere, that was coming in to seed their light, because we really believe, and I know you know this and many, is where we carry our vessel of light, we're seeding that light. And we thought no better of a time to seed that light from our power of joy, happiness, and love, which a lot of people still didn't understand, considering the DC metropolitan and area is very divisive and political, which is moving into greater levels of consciousness. We just didn't have, I would say, the masses, because they were just very focused on, was it going to be Trump? Was it going to be Harris? And we're looking for even a deeper level. We want to elect peace, because
Yes.
that's ultimately, as you know, peace in our breath, peace in our mind, peace in our heart is the way we live. And when we live through that, no election, no exterior distraction can dissolve. So we went to do that. And funny enough, Lou,
Yeah.
here comes the day of election.
Mm,
Before the election, I was called to do a healing session with a dear client, and her top penthouse room had a straight view over the monument in White House. She was obviously in a posing of what the main outcome came. So she was very disturbed about what was going to happen. She was nervous. And I just took her into this session that brought forgiveness
Mm,
to the toxic masculine,
mm,
bringing light to any corruption and manipulation or anything that's not being seen,
mm,
and knowing what most know when these healing sessions are done at a very transformational master level where it's not just myself, but many guides, many higher power beings in the room, that area is being blasted with this light. And so it
mm,
was blasting from where we were in Arlington, straight across the monument, straight across to the White House. And I've never seen a view or been in a place that's had that, where not only did she have the most phenomenal healing, she says, "When can you come back?" And I said, "Well, let's just give a day, because usually these healings I don't do too often." She said, "Well, can you come back Wednesday?" And I said, "Sure." So I turned back to Honey. I'm like, "Honey, isn't it interesting that we're here the day before the election, the day above after the election, at one of the highest peaks in DC, to shine that light in our highest love?" Because as you know, with everything, we start with a prayer, we bring in the highest and greatest good intention, and we blast that outward. And to
yeah,
me, I hope that those, depending on what party, what side, can at least embrace that peace and
yes,
embrace that within yourself. Because ultimately, when you're in that state, nothing's, you're unstoppable. That
yeah.
peace is our mojo. That's our root and who we are.
Yes, well said. Beautifully said, Michael. That is who we are.
Yeah.
Be the peace that passes understanding.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, beautiful, brother. And I mean, that's you were good enough to. We got on this call three Fridays ago, and you're part of that, which was wonderful. And that's how this conversation was able to happen, because you were able to make that, and we started to connect, which is great. And we had like 14 people from around the world, and about 1,000 people have seen that so far, which is exciting. And as you and I were saying, part of the inner guidance for me to reach out to you, among just loving, respecting, and happy to hang out with you and learn from all your wisdom and your joy, is that there will be other events before this is all over, where we're wanting to hold that space of two or more gathering together in the name and nature of the Christ consciousness of unconditional love. And so, we can put out, I think, here with your kind permission, the call that if people resonate to what you're sharing here today, to file this away and to keep your name and please my name in mind, and that we will probably, more than likely, I have no doubt, be doing other events, as the weeks and the months unroll here over the next few years. Does that make good
It,
sense?
it makes perfect sense because, Lou, when I first met you, and I said this the other day, there's a vibration that I could feel from your voice. There's a vibration when individuals come and speak. And we start to know that that vibration that's beyond the words is coming from such a deep space and a deep wisdom, where I constantly reflect back and saying, we're remembering versus learning, because it's already within us, right? As we're
Yes.
learning, of course,
Yes.
but remembering that as we all come together, more than one, there's an activation happening. And I know we were Facebook friends for a while, but when I heard your voice, I was like, wow, now there's a man that this voice is coming out. And it was inspiring because I could also hear my voice coming out, but still kind of like holding back a little. And I know people can feel this. Like we want to express, but sometimes it's like, is it safe? Am I gonna be judged? Am I gonna be criticized? And to like
Well,
hear your voice, and most likely, and be victimized, and all the things. But there's that voice and activation, Lou, that's coming out. And so when I heard it from you, and then when I heard it from others, and I've been watching, and this event came forth, that it brought out such this confidence, this courage, and not from the human lens. It was like divine confidence, divine courage, divine energy, that I know without a shadow of a doubt that me, that you, that those that are coming forward are here to share this, because we know that thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions are going to be awakening, and they just want to hear, well, how did you go through this? What happened to you? Because at the end of the day, we shared this the other day, the human story is the magic we get to pass along. And for those that
yes.
can just feel that vibration without how it changed and what time period, but they could just feel that active frequency, there's going to be a shift because I truly feel there's so much light shining upon this world right now. There's so much coming in that it's blasting this human body for us to be the fullest expression
Yeah,
of what we are to do today. And so I
yeah,
believe you, me, we, these voices have to keep coming out because there's so much that's just getting started, brother. And it's exciting time to be here.
yeah. Well, amen to that. Absolutely. Yeah, no, Michael, my dear brother, you passed the initiation. That's what this hurricane was with flying colors, if I can say that, and you're a different vibration because of your courage and your joy and your willingness to, risk it all and trust your inner guidance. That is the shaman's death. You
Yeah.
know, that's it. You've done it, man. And I'm thrilled that you hear something in me that you're reflecting resonates for you as well, because it's certainly mutual. And so I'm excited for us, and I'm excited for the future, and I'm excited for this planet, and I'm excited even for the U.S. of A. For the first time in a long time. Uh, out of all this, things are. You've said it so beautifully. I liked your the statement there from Archangel Michael. Parasites of pain and the shadow, as Jung calls it, and there is so much unconscious, and we're all of us are dealing with some of that every day. That's what this dimension is. That's what this experience is. But as you're saying, man, it is really coming in, and it's coming through us. And, we're just blessed we're blessed to know what is happening, why it's happening, and what we can do about it. To me, those are three things that, for whatever cosmic reason, we can answer those questions. It puts us in a position of service, as you know deeply, to the rest of humanity who's about to step into that great unknown that you and I have been blessed to meet, encounter, and overcome with the help of the Almighty, every single time. We don't get through the initiations without recognizing the eternal truths of our soul and spirit and God's unconditional love. And when we let that in and let that be real, more real than the illusion of the Category 6 hurricane, or the end of the world, fascist takeover of the only free government on planet Earth. We think they tell us, we don't know. We find out. Suddenly things are shifting big time. So yeah, man, I think the best is yet to come, and it's just getting more and more exciting. And I'm looking forward to connecting with Honey at some point as well. I just want to put that out there because
Yeah, definitely.
that.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it just, I know she's a big part of your story as well.
Well, I feel like I thought I knew I was a man before I met Honey. Because like it's usually when a divine partner comes, they show you real quickly the aspects of yourself that you thought you knew about yourself. And then all of a sudden I had to step forward and be like, oh, accountability. Okay, authenticity, discipline, the areas that sometimes growing up as a male that had spiritual training, but it wasn't cultivated because I felt sometimes when we're by ourselves, we can only see this tunnel vision. But with my sacred divine partner, she's been my, greatest love, my greatest teacher, forgiveness, my greater catalyst of watching my emotions, which recently, learning how to express anger in a healthy way, as all men are learning to do that. And
Yeah,
most important, working as a team of light, which I feel that was one of the biggest things that came through all of this was to recognize that, Lou, you know this. If we could bring this force, which you were a part of and thousands were a part of around the world, and this was for a hurricane, and I did say this, what happens if that was a manifestation that we brought toward us just so that we could show what it is to stand in our truth, stand in our faith, stand in our unwavering naturing that we got this came forward. We could do this. Now imagine what we can do every day because I believe miraculousness can be every moment of time. It doesn't just have to be we pray in our hardest times. We can bring miracles
yeah,
just through our ability of co-creation. And I feel
yeah,
what we're here for many of us, we came to this new earth to co-create. And what I've been receiving is these eyes want to create what we see outward. I believe it's when we go inward and we visualize what we want to create. And as many people may think as strange, those days of the hurricane, I sat by myself, fasting, listening to the invisible world, the non physical realities, listening to the elements, the nature realms, listening to that realm more than the outer realm, because that was the inner truth that provided me the sustenance to move forward in what I call the greatest show on earth, because everything on the outside was an illusion, yet everything on the inside was telling me to go against it, because the divine nature was so strong that I didn't have any choice. And
Yeah.
I feel when we can do that, we can allow that. When I sat on that beach with 160 people around, and knowing when I grew up, speaking and all that has been a journey, my grammar, tenses, correction, I was my worst judger. I say wrong words. Things come out, and before I know it, I'm like, who am I? What am I talking? I can't go on a beach, be in front of. And I came up and spoke, and it wasn't me speaking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was a divine coming through, just like when you speak, Lou. There's a divine frequency, and then that call that you had people around the world, you could feel that frequency,
Yeah.
and that frequency that gives me goosebumps was like, wow, we're connecting all of these areas so that I really feel as we walk upon this earth, we're imprinting our golden, Christed prints so that that can now be the seeds to everyone around us. And now we're starting to see it. Yet, as you know, that darkness has to be exposed.
Mm-hmm.
That manipulation, all those energies come up, has to be seen. And that's what's, I feel, showing right now throughout the world. And we have to not judge it, but just use discernment of how we move through. And most important, my biggest lesson is not to be distracted and pulled into it, because we can say light, we can say dark, we can say battle. There's going to be ones that are going to choose to battle. God bless them. There's going to be ones that choose to stay in light. There's ones that are going to step back and look at it all. I feel I'm here to focus on the light, even though I can move through the dark, but focus on the light so that it doesn't have to be a constant battle, because I feel like those days are over, and we have to be careful where we give our focus and awareness, even in our frequency of energies of that battle within our mind, battle within our relationships. So it's like dropping the sword and now coming through a new way, which I feel Yeshua and many prophets taught us. It's through the way of love, divine love. That's the ultimate way now, to lead it, to be it, and to see it from our own heart, eye, and mind in coherence.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well, I've got about 8 minutes left for us here, just so you know. I'm a little new to the whole Zoom thing and the timing and all that, but I'd love, if I may, Michael, thank you for all that. Can I invite you to share a little bit of Archangel Michael before we finish up here today?
Sure. So let me see what I can feel into for this, and let's just see what we can bring forth and what is here to be shared.
Yeah.
So what I'm receiving is the blue flame. As we know, Archangel Michael is the igniter of the blue flame through his blue flame sword. So let's go ahead and place our hands right on our chest. And as we bring our hands to our chest, let's take a deep breath into our heart. And exhale out. And as we call upon Archangel Michael and his blue flame and his legions of light, we welcome us into this here and now, in allowing this transmission to serve in its highest and greatest good. As we begin, and as we see, imagine, and feel within us this sacred blue flame that we breathe now within all of our love, in through our nose and out through our mouth. And as this blue flame expands and grows and ignites within our heart, allow this sacred flame to be the pillar of strength, the pillar of protection, and the pillar of guidance that now surrounds you with each breath in And each breath out, allowing this blue flame to surround your chest, through your internal organs as it expands through your shoulders and arms, filling up every cell, every tissue, every molecule, so that you're engulfed in this divine blue flame, Archangel Michael's fullest expression of light. As you see, feel, and sense that the limitations, the densities, and the blockages are now transmuting into this blue flame. As this blue flame burns away all that no longer serves, that no longer has been brought into your here and now, so that too can dissolve into its highest light, so that this blue flame can expand around you in your own home. As we see expand that blue flame rising through our towns and cities, through our states and countries, as this world is surrounded by this sacred blue flame, this divine flame of God that is here to purify the true I am, God creation, presence that is within us and around us, to take flight and allow our greatest gifts to fully shine and expand through us and around us. Seeing, feeling, and sensing and knowing this blue flame that now circulates through us, around us, through this planet, and beyond, is the sacred flame that now brings forth the transformation and purification of all that no longer serves, that on our next breath out, we release any challenge, any hurt, any pain or suffering as we breathe that blue flame in deeper through our heart. And then we exhale it all out. Allowing this blue flame to go deep within our soul of all lifetimes, of all creation, as we breathe that directly into our heart. And releasing all blockages, obstructions, and densities that are attached to this human mind, body, and experience. Feeling this peace, this levity, and this joy that you are now surrounded by thousands of angels that are here at your command as messengers of the divine, to now send every desire and wish that is here for the higher consciousness of this new earth reality to be sent out. As we go deeper within our hearts and as we see, visualize the new earth, the new creations within us, around us, now feel each of your desires and messages being sent out through the thousands and hundreds of thousands of angels that are taking flight through this world, through this earth, to now shower heaven's gifts upon this world of light. Knowing that Archangel Michael stands before you, to the front, to the back, above, below, within, holding you in God's love, in God's light, knowing that the source of your supply is the divine, and that through any moment, through any challenge, through any stress, to call upon Archangel Michael and the blue flame, and to bring that directly within the heart, and to expand that through the frequency of love and the frequency of being the essence of the divine that has already been planted within you. So that you can know in your highest light, in your highest love, that everything and anything is possible for you to co-create from your highest and greatest good in this here and now. So that this prophecy of this new golden age, this age of Aquarius, this divine awakening can move through peace, grace, and love in its highest good, in its highest grace, for the highest love of all. It is said, it is so, it is done. Shh. Breathing that in and breathing that out.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Archangel Michael, and all beings. I thank you, Lou, and thank you for this opportunity to remember that everything is already within you.
Beautiful. Thank
All
you.
that you have is all that you need. It's right here.
God
Thank
bless.
you for here. Thank you for Lou. God
Thank
bless
you, my friend. We have 10 seconds. That's divine timing for you. How do you like that, my friend? God bless you. Michael, I'll talk to you soon. Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful day.
Blessings. Thank you, Lou.
You're
Love you.
very welcome. Peace and blessings.
Blessings to you, brother.